Probably my brother again.
He keeps calling because he wants us to shoot this stupid movie with him.
Rainbow time.
Hey!
What is his challenge again? Is it Downs?
No, he's just a little slow. This is my brother Sean.
Or Shonzi, or Arthur Shonzarelli.
Hi.
Hey!
Yes.
Does that say ah?
No.
Pretty sure it says ah.
What, 'cause the H? I got the first shot set up. I'm back! Eee.
Ah, dude, not so hard.
Shonzi, do you want to just hang out with me? We'll do something fun.
You have to be careful with him.
Hey, wanna be in our movie?
He just sees a girl giving him attention. It turns him on.
You're so pretty.
Okay, all right,
Hang
okay.
out
Can you?
sometime.
Okay,
Shonzi,
okay,
no, stop. I'm sorry.
What?
The more he's around a woman, the more he'll stop treating her like a sexual object.
Check it out.
Looking good. Good for you.
What are you doing? Give me the phone.
What are you doing? It's mine!
You got a creeping heart.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous of what you have.
I know he's like really hard to deal with, but you really have to get a grip on your anger.
I'm sorry I'm a disappointment to you.
You can be a pain in the ass sometimes, but you're not a disappointment. You're my man.
And it gets me every time.
You've always been there for me, and I love you.
Come here.
Let's go make a movie, huh?
Got a creeping heart.
Check out some of these girls. Me and Lindsay met today. Hot, right?
Very nice.
Shonzi, it's not fun for women to be sexually harassed,
Right.
right?
Feminism.
Yes.
Right.
Guys, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks.
Congratulations on the movie.
Off to a good start.
Off to a good start. No, I was gonna copy you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. Linas, I've known you for a while. You've been working on this character for a solid, what, 10 years now?
Yeah.
Like different variations.
And I've worked with special needs kids, so it's kind of maybe even before that, the idea of wanting, just wanting to tell a story about someone who has these challenges. Yeah.
What kind of challenge? How would you define these challenges, if you could, or what fascinated you about these challenges dramatically?
Well, I mean, it's just, it's sad to see someone going through life with life is hard enough as it is. And, I mean, Shonzi, I play Shonzi, and just seeing his brother all the time, like how things are so much easier for him. I mean, it's heartbreaking. And I actually babysat these two kids, and one was special needs and one wasn't. And so just to see the older brother was the one with special needs, and he would see his younger brother doing things that he couldn't do. And I mean, I would always just wonder how much is he aware of that, and what's going on with him emotionally? How is he handling that? And so anyway, that's kind of what inspired the love triangle and my character falling in love with Melanie's character.
Melanie, when did you get involved with the film?
After Linas had written the script, because he sent me the script to read, and
With a ransom note? No.
yeah, well, Linas was in the habit already of sending ransom notes to my house.
I lived down the street from her, so I would send creepy postcards.
Yeah, or
as
he'd take a
joke.
picture of himself in front of my house and then send it to me in the mail. Or remember when you came to the party and you took a picture of me and Jason, my boyfriend, the moment he walked in the door, and we're like...
No, it was through the window, Melanie. Get it
It was
right.
yeah, but you also took a picture...
Yeah, no. But
Anyway.
tell everyone, if you're going to say I'm creepy, tell everyone how creepy
You
I
were
am.
taking pictures through the window. But then in the mail, I thought you sent me the picture you took when you walked through the door.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But Linas has one of those personalities where it doesn't matter how creepy the thing is that he's doing, there's something about him that is harmless and wonderful.
Oh, I loved it. I was super into it. I put all the ransom notes on my fridge. My boyfriend was like, this is interesting. Anyway, one day I got another ransom note, and at this point it was normal, and it said, will you do my movie? And then I read the script, and I really loved it. I really felt very connected and it felt very right to me. So.
And one of the things about this movie is like, yes, you've been working on this character for 10 years and that involves performing as variations of this character, but actually setting out to make a feature film as this person, to many people would be fearful that they would come off as offensive. I don't think you come off as offensive at all, and I think that has a lot to do with knowing you and knowing where your heart is in regards to this film. But Melanie, what gave you the confidence in Linas and his performance and his sincerity behind this character?
I think honestly, I just know enough about his character. I knew about his history, working with kids and stuff like that. And I knew the place it was coming from. And honestly, when I was reading the script, it avoided sentimentality and it also avoided offensiveness. And it just felt like a really fully realized depiction of a human being. And it felt really right to me. I wasn't nervous about it.
Yeah, you can be offensive in the other direction by being over sentimental with the character and not showing him with flaws, because everyone has flaws, you know, whether they have special needs or not.
And quite often in movies about people with special needs, do you have one scene of them with a flaw? They have like one moment in the movie where it's like that flaw, and then the movie gets to get away with saying that. Whereas with your character, like a real person, he's flawed in many ways and quite regularly.
Yeah. So and that was really important to show that he's funny, you know, of his own command, but also he makes mistakes and is funny, and his brother loves him enough to laugh with him, because with friends there's like a gray line, and you know, to respect someone is to be able to like have that comfortability and, you know, laughing with them.
Was there a part of you that sort of needed that challenge to make this film, needed the challenge of walking that line?
I guess that's what's exciting to me about it, but yeah, it's also frightening because I don't want to offend people either. But you have to kind of, I guess, be bold and try it. But yeah, honestly, that's what's exciting about it to me too. So, especially
in the sense that you're not just bringing this character into some sort of sentimentalized story where, you know, they're fighting for his rights to be able to, I don't know, have a daughter or something. I'm just going over I Am Sam in my head, I think, sorry.
Right.
But it's actually, there's dick jokes, there's fart jokes, there's all of these sort of like sexual perversity that comes from this character and from the people around him, which you normally don't see depicted when it comes to people that are developmentally delayed. They're usually portrayed as non-sexualized people, or non-sexual people.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a real taboo subject. You know, it's really hard. Even, you know, with kids that I've worked with who are older now and talking to their parents, it's very hard to talk about. So, yeah.
When you started presenting the idea for this film and the script to people, was there anyone that had pushback or had sort of like, they didn't really get that was a place that you could take a character like this?
I think people really, I think it was on people's radar because, yeah, no one wants to turn people off, but I think we're all just we're thinking of just how to make it, you know, sensitive, you know, like what do we avoid so that we can pull this off? And with the character, when I started to, before shooting and I was practicing on my own, I try to dial everything back, you know, certain character choices, and just to make sure like every scene was super embodied emotionally, because I feel like when you're doing a character, you can't really like try to do the character. I think of it like driving. You know, like you can't hold the steering wheel too hard. You know, you just have to like let yourself breathe through it. And I think that makes him seem like a real person, so it doesn't make you seem like you're doing an idea of the character.
Melanie, how was it working with Linas, sort of embodying this character and then at the same time trying to direct the movie? Just say bad. No, I'm just kidding.
Awful. No, he did a really, really good job. It was funny to see him go in and out of character. But yeah, you really handled it well. There were very few scenes that you were not in.
I felt probably more awkward about it, and in the beginning I asked you, like, is it gonna be okay if I'm like talking as myself and then acting with you as Shonzi? Should I direct you as Shonzi? Like, I had all these like weird questions.
And I said, no. Don't do that.
You should not direct me in character.
Did you try to do that at any point with anyone? And they were like, do not do this to me.
I think like if we're going really quickly, a couple times I might have been like in the voice, like cut, okay, let's keep going, you know, and still talking a little bit more as the character, just because for myself as an actor. But no, it was actually really great that she said that because it gave me the freedom to just go in and out of character.
Now, this isn't the first time that you've directed a movie and starred in it. You made Bass Backwards a few years ago where you were the star and the director. But this is definitely something much different for you as a performer, and it requires a fair amount more focus, I think, as a performer. So what was it like for you on set, embodying Shonzi and at the same time embodying the director role?
I mean, it was hard. I leaned a lot on the cinematographer, you know, Nate Miller. And he and I prepped a lot, and we did 2 cameras, so I didn't have to be juggling as much in my head, technically. But yeah, I mean, if I hadn't been doing that character so much, I would have been in trouble. And if Melanie and Timm weren't so good, you know, it was like we got lucky, and the first couple takes were good, and it'd be great. And, you know, it was really hard, though. I did not go to the bathroom very much. I learned how to act while holding my pee.
Really? Is that the main lesson that you
That's
took
the
from
main
movie?
lesson. And yes, advice to young actors. I would consider practicing. Go into your scene class with a full bladder. It might help you.
Melanie, as a professional actress, how does that sound to you?
It sounds horrible.
It was, yeah, it was.
Terrible idea.
When did the
Sorry.
Sometimes I had to.
When did the idea come for you when, after having done this character for so long, using this character and putting him in a kind of sex comedy?
I don't know.
Bad way to describe the movie?
sex comedy.
I'm trying to sell this movie for you guys.
I guess I just wanted to tell a story with him, and you know, and about relationships, and you know, it just I just put it all together. I mean, the story between Melanie's character and my brother's character, that was really personal to me too. So yeah, I thought like, what if I was like homeless and I had to move in with my brother and his wife, and that kind of like helped generate a lot of the story ideas. You know, because I'm not like Shonzi, but I would seem like a real bummer living in their home.
You'd be a real burden for anybody that you moved in with?
Yeah.
Melanie, what was the shoot like? I know you guys, it was a fairly low budget shoot. What was that like for you?
It was. I mean, I love working like that because I like working quickly. I don't like taking a ton of time on scenes. So that was all. It was great. We moved very fast. I felt like Linas really knew what he wanted. It wasn't like super comfortable because we were shooting a lot of it in this one apartment. So there was a lot of like sitting on camera boxes and then being like, oh, sorry, excuse me.
Right.
Trying to find a place to not be in the way of people working in between shots.
So there was no holding.
Oh, no. No. I get so excited if I have a trailer. I'm just like, oh my God, like taking pictures in the trailer. So excited.
Next time.
When you're, what is the essential difference for you as an actress outside of the trailer in terms of doing something that moves quickly like this versus doing something that is, you know, requires special effects or, you know, a long lighting process? How does that affect your performance?
It's just harder to keep your energy up. Like I really have to work on it to just sort of stay in the moment, especially if you're working on something and you have an emotional scene. I did one movie where I had this super emotional scene. I had to be crying, and it was a very difficult thing.
What movie?
Away We Go. Mm-hmm. And Sam Mendes is such an amazing director, and I really loved working with him. And he gets so much, he's so careful with his coverage, he gets so much coverage, and we only shot that scene all day. So to stay in the energy, just this like dark place, like I need like an iPod, I need nobody to talk to me. You really have to go into this tunnel, and it's a lot easier to do that for, you know, 2 hours as opposed to like 15 hours, you know.
Possibly even like a couple days or something if he's getting
yeah.
that much coverage. That's so interesting that he got so much coverage. He never struck me as a director who was focused on covering everything, he seemed like someone who was like beautiful masters, maybe a close-up, and then kind of, and that was it.
I think he just likes to have options, or maybe just on that movie because there were a lot of characters in it. But, I mean, he's like a real master. It was a great experience.
And Linas. Sorry.
So was Linas. This was also a great experience.
Linas, when you're shooting on a budget like this, do you even have the option to sort of be stylistic about your choices, or is it about sort of making sure that you're telling the story as effectively and as economically as possible?
Well, you have to have the DP has to like know that it's just meat and potatoes style shooting where we have to get the story, and it's about the storytelling and, you know, and the performances. And I wrote the movie like that so I could do a small movie with just mostly dialogue, so that I could do it in 15 days. That was part of my thinking. But yeah, I mean, you can't do as many things that you would want to do if you had more time, you know, I mean, but I tried to build it so that it wouldn't feel like a limitation, you know. And it's great when you have two cameras. They're also trying to you need someone who knows that it's like practical shooting, but is going to try to get the best kind of shot with those circumstances. And, you know, and Nate had done some other smaller films, and he got that. He came from doing documentaries too, and that I really like, so.
What was outside of, I mean, I'm sure when you went into this, you knew that playing the main character and also directing it was going to be really difficult, but were there any other challenges that you came across that you weren't expecting?
No, pretty easy.
Is that true?
No, I mean, yeah, the focus with the character, you know, not being able to do as many takes was hard for me just because of time and stuff, and not being able to be as quick and like being able to process what just happened because I was doing 2 jobs. So, you know, I feel like I could have been there for Timm and Melanie more and the other actors, but I mean, they were doing great on their own, and we had done a read-through beforehand, which I feel like really helped. And we read through the whole thing, even though we didn't shoot in order. It was great to kind of feel it in order that day. So.
When you decided to make this movie, what was the biggest hurdle for you getting it made?
Just finishing the script. Like, you know, I've been working on it for like years, and this version of it, I was working on it for 2 years. But Jay Duplass was so helpful. He was like, just get the shittiest version possible. Sorry, can I swear?
No, you can swear.
Just do this, you know, the worst possible version. Just get it out, and then you can start refining it. He was really helpful. He was helpful with like whittling down characters, you know, when I would like talk out ideas with him, and yeah, and try to make things clearer. Yeah, it just like took a lot of the pressure off, so I was able to finally do it. Yeah.
How did you assemble the cast outside of Melanie?
Yeah, I stalked Melanie, so that was easy.
Sent ransom notes,
Yeah.
took photos from the window.
Yeah. Advice for all the young filmmakers out there.
Stalk your favorite actors.
I mean, I went to people that I kind of had some connection with or knew. I had worked with Tobin Bell, and I convinced him to do it, and it was great. He was great. We had worked together on Manson Family Vacation, and Timm I didn't know, but I knew him from Enlightened, and he's so good on that. And yeah, so it was great. We met just one day, and then we showed up on set.
So you just asked people to do it, and they said yes?
Yeah.
Let's open it up to the audience for questions. Who has questions out there?
Hey, thank you for being here. What was it like working with the Duplass brothers, and how involved were they with you on set?
On set, not that much, except Jay acted in a couple scenes. So he was really, you know, as a buddy, he was supportive because he was there kind of helping me figure out what I needed on the day when we're shooting a scene. Like, he saw me after a take, and he was like, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, maybe I should try this. He's like, okay, yeah, you should do that. And but as an actor, he was great working with him on the scene. Mainly, like I said, on the script. He was like so helpful. And Mark was too. Like, he gave me advice on the script years ago. Yeah.
How important for you as a filmmaker is it to have other people weighing in on the script?
Pretty huge. I think it's such a huge part of filmmaking that, yeah, you don't know how to get help with because just you typing alone. I would really recommend telling friends about an idea, and sometimes a whole idea will come out just from you pitching it to a friend.
Well, it's one of those things that, you wrote, directed, star in this movie, and produce it, and it would seem like to other people that it's like an auteurist kind of thing, and it's a solitary process, when in actuality, it was I've known Linas for a while. It's 10 years of talking to him about this and hearing about him talk about it to other people and seeing versions of it. And like, it's a huge, it's as much as it's your name on all this, it's a massive community effort in a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful I can thank everyone in my life that's the thank you. That's the thank yous of the film. Because
we all had to hear about this bullshit for what else.
No, it's true. I feel bad about it. But yeah, I think it's at least part of my process. And I think I've seen it help other people.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, in terms of other filmmakers, who should learn that it actually takes bringing people together to read it and give you notes and talk to you about it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really painful at times, but it's such an important part.
Did you ever have a extremely painful moment when it came to like a learning process in the script?
Yeah, I mean, if someone tells you a note that or they don't like something and you're stuck, it was like the thing you were so excited about, like you can stop working on it for months. It's like hard, and then yeah, that happened.
Next question.
Hey, I want to say I just love the intervention, and I wanted to ask how you guys think alternative comedy, the definition or reception, has changed since you started playing the character in the past 10 years?
For me, playing that character in the past 10 years, alternative comedy.
Yeah, do you think like it's more popular, or its meaning has changed, or has like the whole scene changed with your character, or not at all?
I guess I'm not totally sure the connection between me playing the character and an alternative comedy, but I used to do alternative comedy, stand-up comedy. So yeah, I feel like it's like what's mainstream comedy would have been only alternative, 10 or 15 years ago. So yeah, it's kind of nice to see the weirder voices out there in comedy. And I think it allows people to understand what I'm doing with this film and kind of the awkward humor that's going on. But in this story, it's not really like, it's built as a drama for me because everything has to be really truthful. I tried to stick in as many dick jokes as I could, but only if it made emotional sense.
Does it make emotional sense to have a dick joke here, guys? Did
Yes,
you ask that a lot?
yes, it's important for the catharsis.
Melanie, I have to ask, you were part of this wonderful show on HBO, Togetherness, which was incredible. It was also produced and written and directed by the Duplass brothers. Mm-hmm. Were you shocked when HBO decided not to move forward with it? Critics loved it. It's such an amazing show.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because it's not, I mean, as we learned, I guess it wasn't the type of show that people tuned into week to week. And that's how HBO, made their decision. People weren't really watching it. But even dear friends of mine were like, oh, I can't wait for the season to end so I can binge watch. And I was like, we're going to get canceled.
Like, no, please, watch on Sundays.
Okay, cool. I can't wait to hear what you think about it. And we did get canceled.
Hit play and leave the room. And then,
yeah.
Well, what's so interesting about that show to me, and it being canceled in terms of being an actress on it, is that if you're on like a standard sitcom, mm-hmm. and you do a pilot and it doesn't go through, or you do one season and it gets canceled, it's like, well, that job's over. Yeah. But if you're doing a TV show with Jay and Mark Duplass, it's so collaborative, and it's so much about everybody's actual relationships and how they feel about their relationships, whether it's directly mirrored off of theirs or not, it's going to have a lot of their own personal touch. So when that ends, I wonder if it leaves a bit of a bigger scar or a bigger wound.
It's the hardest. I mean, I've been sad when movies have ended before. I was on a show that got cancelled, and I was like, thank God that got cancelled. It was only like a couple of episodes it was on for, but this was like, it was so hard. It was so hard. I just love everybody so much. It was such a great job for me. I mean, it was this character, every script I read, there was something that I was terrified and excited to do every episode. And I just, honestly, I don't know if I'll have an opportunity. I hope so, but there's a part of me that's like, that might have been the greatest, job of my life. So it's very hard to, process it. And I also just miss Amanda. I miss her so much.
I think we have time for one more question.
Yeah, hi. I was just wondering, you said you worked with special needs children before. I've been a special education teacher for the last 8 years in high school. So I was just wondering, when did that help you develop your character at all when you were working with students like that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even though Shonzi is very different, he's a grown-up and way more perverted than any of the sweet kids that I worked with, there's a certain, logic things or looking at the world differently, which is just so beautiful, and it brings a poetry to life. And I actually made videos with a lot of the kids I made. They would just write little quick skits, and it was so fun, but also really stressful, and sort of like my brother's character has to deal with that, because I would spend so much time editing them just to make them work, because it was really hard for them to take direction, even though they loved it.
You still work with kids too, or at least at the very least, you see them. There are kids in your life that you used to work with who are now adults that you still visit with and see when they come to New York or when you're in a city that
I'm working with a young man right now who's autistic, and and one of his goals is to get a girlfriend. It's like the movie, it's like the movie all over again. Yeah.
Well, guys, I have to let you go, but the film is on demand right now on iTunes, right? People can get it, and it's playing this weekend at the Alamo Drafthouse in Brooklyn, and where else?
And next week we're opening in LA at Arena Cinema on the 11th.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, guys. Rainbow time.
Thank you.